Hitting your system with caffeine first thing is, quote, close to pouring fuel on a fire that's already lit. Think about it for a second. You've been asleep for 8 hours. You are waking up completely dehydrated, and your cortisol is already naturally surging 50%. Drinking coffee in this dehydrated cortisol-rising state is a massive mistake that just spikes your stress hormones even further. Instead, we use habit 1, the warm water protocol. Just like the woman in Kyoto, try a simple glass of warm water with a pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon. It sounds almost too basic, right? But biologically, it is profound. The salt replenishes magnesium, which plays a direct role in regulating cortisol. The lemon provides vitamin C, which University of Alabama research shows can meaningfully blunt stress spikes. In just 2 minutes, you're hydrating and sending a vital, we are safe message directly to your nervous system. Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this because today we are unraveling a biological mystery that honestly might completely change how you view your daily routine. Look, if you've ever felt like you're doing absolutely everything right, eating clean, pushing through those grueling workouts, tracking every single meal, but you still just can't seem to shake off that stubborn weight around your middle, well, you are definitely not alone. And more importantly, you might be fighting a battle with the completely wrong weapons. We're going to explore exactly why traditional fitness routines are failing so many incredibly dedicated people, and it literally all comes down to a hidden morning hormone. Section 1. The Kyoto Contrast. A morning paradigm shift. To really understand what's going wrong for so many of us, let's look at a completely different approach to starting the day. There is this stark, almost ironic contrast between these two routines. On the left side, we have a 61-year-old woman living in Kyoto. Her mornings, they are remarkably quiet. She drinks warm water, she takes a really slow walk, her phone remains entirely untouched, and her waistline, it hasn't changed in over a decade. She doesn't diet, and she doesn't even own dumbbells. Now look over at the right side. This represents, well, millions of us. Waking up, skipping breakfast to fast, lacing up the running shoes for a punishing, high-intensity run, and obsessively tracking every single calorie. Yet, despite working exponentially harder, this person is the one struggling with stubborn belly fat. The irony is just staggering, isn't it? The person who's barely breaking a sweat is actually getting the results that the gym goer is agonizing over. Which brings us to a truly pivotal question. What if belly fat literally isn't a math problem? I know exactly how frustrating it is when you're putting in all that physical effort and just not seeing the physical change. We've all been conditioned to believe that losing stubborn weight around the waist is purely a numbers game, right? Just a simple calculation of what you put in versus what you burn off. But what if we need to pivot entirely away from that traditional diet advice? Section 2. The broken equation. A fitness myth. To find the answer, we have to systematically deconstruct a myth that nearly the entire fitness and diet industry is built firmly upon. Think about the golden rule of fitness. Eat less plus move more equals fat loss. It's drilled into us from day one. It's the foundation of literally every fitness app and gym pitch out there. And if you've tried it and failed, you've probably blamed yourself, thinking, I must not be trying hard enough. But the truth? This deeply ingrained equation simply doesn't hold up for an enormous number of people. Why? Because it leaves out one massive, invisible variable. You're doing the math correctly for sure, but the formula itself is missing a critical piece. Section 3. The cortisol awakening, the hidden variable. And that missing piece is exactly what we're going to uncover right now. Enter the cortisol awakening response, or CAR. Now, cortisol has terrible PR. We hear the word and immediately think, oh no, toxic stress. But the cortisol awakening response is actually a natural, absolutely necessary surge. Cortisol itself isn't a villain. It is a vital biological tool. It's the alertness hormone that literally gets you out of bed and prepares you to face the demands of the day. Without it, you wouldn't even be able to function. But here is where it gets totally wild. 50%. Within the very first 30 minutes of you opening your eyes, your cortisol levels naturally spike by roughly 50%. It's a massive, rapid biological surge. And again, this is completely normal. The problem isn't that this spike happens. The problem is what happens when our modern habits push this 50% spike way too high, way too fast, or keep it elevated for hours on end. When you have a natural surge, your body reacts with healthy alertness and energy. But when you push that cortisol into an elevated or sustained stress state, your body shifts into a protective response. Research published in the journal Obesity is crystal clear on this.
Sustained morning cortisol signals the body that you are under threat, and the body's reaction is to specifically store deep abdominal fat. It essentially wraps fat directly around your internal organs as a sort of biological insulation. You could be cutting sugar and running miles every single day, but if your morning cortisol is chronically high, you are fighting your hormones with tools that were never designed to touch them.
Section 4. 5 Morning Habits. Chronological order.
So how do we fix it? Well, we look to a Japanese-inspired solution. Japan has some of the lowest rates of abdominal obesity in the industrialized world, and it really all comes down to what happens right after waking up. The best part? These adjustments are completely free and depend entirely on chronological order. This right here is your ideal 90-minute morning blueprint. I want you to anchor yourself to this exact sequence. At minute 0, it's about hydration. Minute 5, natural light. Minute 30, you finally end your phone fast. And minute 90, that's your first coffee. You are using these sequential habits as biological communication tools to gently manage that morning cortisol spike. Let's break down exactly why this specific order is so powerful.
We start at minute 0. And if you normally reach straight for the coffee maker the second you wake up, you need to listen to this quote from Stanford neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman. Hitting your system with caffeine first thing is, quote, close to pouring fuel on a fire that's already lit. Think about it for a second. You've been asleep for 8 hours. You are waking up completely dehydrated, and your cortisol is already naturally surging 50%. Drinking coffee in this dehydrated, cortisol-rising state is a massive mistake that just spikes your stress hormones even further.
Instead, we use habit 1, the warm water protocol. Just like the woman in Kyoto, try a simple glass of warm water with a pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon. It sounds almost too basic, right? But biologically, it is profound. The salt replenishes magnesium, which plays a direct role in regulating cortisol. The lemon provides vitamin C, which University of Alabama research shows can meaningfully blunt stress spikes. In just 2 minutes, you're hydrating and sending a vital, we are safe message directly to your nervous system. Which perfectly sets up habit 2, natural light within the first 5 to 10 minutes. Dr. Sachin Panda at the Salk Institute has shown how absolutely critical this is for our circadian rhythms. It sets off this amazing biological domino effect. Morning light hitting your eyes triggers serotonin. During the day, that serotonin actually becomes the raw material for melatonin. And at night, that melatonin ensures deep sleep, which guarantees a calmer cortisol curve the very next morning. By simply stepping outside for 5 minutes, you are literally dictating tomorrow's hormones today.
Okay, moving to habit 3. We're at the 90-minute mark, and yes, we can finally talk about coffee, leaning into the Japanese concept of ma, or the intentional gap. If you drink coffee immediately upon waking, you are blocking adenosine receptors that are still totally full of the sleep chemical. The adenosine just waits around, and when the caffeine wears off at around 2 p.m., boom, you get a massive crash, a huge cortisol spike, and intense sugar cravings. But if you implement a 90-minute delay, you allow your body to naturally clear that adenosine. The result? When you finally drink that coffee, you get smooth, clean energy with absolutely no afternoon crash. Now, habit 4 directly challenges the standard fitness industry advice. Instead of a punishing high-intensity morning workout, which, by the way, research shows just layers onto your morning cortisol and keeps it elevated all day, you do a slow walk or sampo. The magic here is based on Stanford's research on optic flow, which is just the visual experience of your surroundings sliding past you as you move. Walking outside and simply watching the world go by has a measurable physical calming effect on your amygdala, which is the brain's alarm system. Lowering that alarm naturally lowers your cortisol. And finally, habit 5. Honestly, this is arguably the hardest one for most of us. Dr. Anna Lembke, a Stanford psychiatrist, explains exactly why we must protect our mornings. She notes that early, repeated stimulation actually raises your baseline, meaning you need more stimulation just to feel normal. When you look at your phone in the first 30 minutes of waking up, you flood your brain with dopamine and cortisol. You are forcing your nervous system immediately into a highly reactive, stressed mode. We counter this with the Seijaku or stillness protocol. No notifications, no messages, no headlines. You are essentially building a fortress around the first 30 minutes of your day. Think of your brain like a computer. You wouldn't open 50 heavy browser tabs while the operating system is still trying to boot up, right? Well, that's exactly what checking your phone at 6 a.m. does. Keep it face down, let your nervous system boot up gently, completely preventing those early dopamine and cortisol spikes. Section 5. Tomorrow morning, your action plan.
So, we've broken down the science, the biology, and the hidden traps of our modern mornings. Now let's shift from theory to some empowering, actionable steps you can actually take. Here is your game plan, clearly laid out. Step 1 happens tonight. Literally just leave a glass of water out. That's your only prep. Step 2, tomorrow morning, drink that water first thing. Step 3, step outside for just a few minutes of natural light. Step 4, intentionally delay your coffee for 90 minutes. And step 5, fiercely protect those first 30 minutes and keep the phone away. Rethinking the chronological order of your first hour is the ultimate key to fixing this hormonal issue. It's really not about working harder, it's about working smarter with your own biology.
Which leaves us with one final question for you. Which habit are you starting tomorrow? You've got the blueprint now.